Broadcasting live from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, weeknights at 8 p.m. Welcome to the Gailey Show. I am your host, John Parker. Jim Pounds, executive producer, in studio with me.
Hey, everybody.
In the control room today, the captain of the ship, Brett Johnson. Hey, Brett.
Hey there, guys.
How was your weekend?
Pretty good. Enjoyed some great weather going outside, a little biking. It was spectacular.
I know. I'm going to continue to thank you for all the great weather, Brett.
I know. Keep giving me credit. When it starts storming, blame Patrick or someone.
It was absolutely gorgeous. And for anyone, if there is some freak snow this week, it's my fault because I put away my sweaters this morning. So I'm tempting fate, but hopefully the good weather will last. Our call-in number, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. What is on the show today? Health and Human Services has slashed $477 million in LGBTQ research. Trump loses to Maine in court. Gonna enjoy talking about that. Jim and I are going to talk about, in the latter half of the show, the idea that there is no going back now, and the idea that progressives and Democrats can just go back to running the federal government the way that it was before Trump 2.0. That's basically over now. But up first, U.S. Representative Angie Craig has launched a Senate campaign. So for folks in Illinois, our senator, or one of our senators, rather, Tina Smith, is retiring at the end of her term. I would like to thank Senator Smith for a couple of things. Being a, on the whole, good senator for Minnesota. There were a couple of issues that we took issue with. But I also want to thank Senator Smith for stepping down. We need more senators to step down and to recognize that this isn't a lifetime appointment and they need to die in office. Looking at you, Senator Feinstein. So, and also Chuck Grassley, south of the border here, from Minnesota, west of the border in Illinois. So I'm also very grateful for Senator Smith's leadership and recognizing that this isn't a lifetime appointment. It is okay to step down. Congresswoman Craig, for folks who don't know, outside of Minnesota, was the first out LGBTQ person to win office in the state. And she announced her candidacy for the Senate last week, specifically on Trump's 100-day mark. So clearly setting up the framework that she will be running against him in the campaign. She represents Minnesota's 2nd congressional district. I don't know if we can still say that it's a swing state or swing seat, rather, by the margins of her victory. So it's a mixture of suburban communities of the Twin Cities and rural counties. She first won it in 2018. She ran in 2016 and lost barely. She won in 2018, and then ever since, she's really grown the sizes of her victories. I mean, she won by 13 points last November. She was one of the only folks in the country that actually improved on her margins and overperformed the Harris ticket. She was the first House member, to give you a sense of like her background legislatively, she was the first House member from a battleground district to call on President Biden to drop out of the race last summer. During her own campaign, Stephen Shire, professor emeritus of political science at Carleton College, told MinnPost, which is a local news outlet here in the Twin Cities, that he felt that Craig created a more rural identity in last year's campaign. And he also said something interesting, was that in her appeal to conservative voters in her district, she even went so far that at times he said, quote, "I watched her ads and asked, wait a minute, is she a MAGA candidate?" So,
well, that can't be good.
I know. I was like, wait, what? She was against Biden's forgiving student loan plan. She's been, quote unquote, tough on the border, went on Fox News saying that it's a national security issue. She was against the Biden administration's protections for thousands of small streams, wetlands, and other waterways. I'm sort of highlighting some of the things where you're sort of like, really? This is a Democratic candidate?
Yeah, I think she's a little, I don't know if controversial is the right word, because she's probably very liberal for, the northern suburbs of the Twin Cities, but she's really not.
I would say a very
true
centrist
liberal,
Democrat.
Very centrist.
Yes. Very centrist.
Yes.
If she were to win, she would join Wisconsin's Tammy Baldwin, Senator Baldwin, as the only two out lesbians ever elected to the U.S. Senate. There was another woman, a lesbian, who served, LaFonza Butler of California, but she was appointed by Governor Newsom in 2023, and she chose not to run for a full term. Obviously, Angie Craig enters the race with very strong name recognition. Reporting says that she's got $1.2 million in the bank for her campaign. This according to MinnPost. She's actually been holding town halls in the districts of Minnesota's Republican representatives who have not been doing that. So, you know, Tom Emmer, Brad Finstad, Pete Stauber, Michelle Fischbach. She said at one in St. Cloud, "I'm here because Tom Emmer won't show up and listen to you." And this has pissed off Tom Emmer so much that he's actually asked the House Ethics Committee to investigate whether Craig isn't properly using her office account resources to publicize the town halls. Right.
Well, Tom Emmer is the fool of this state, so he can talk about whatever.
Maybe some others.
There's others, but I would put Tom Emmer at the top of the clown car.
Who's the person that was like, "Oh, COVID vaccines are weapons of mass destruction"? I would put him up there. Craig won a major, in terms of LGBTQ issues, personally, Angie Craig and her wife won a major legal battle in Tennessee when a judge gave her custody of her son with her then partner as the adoptive parent. Equality PAC, national LGBTQ group that is about electing more queer people to Congress, has already endorsed her. Equality PAC is proud to endorse Congresswoman Angie Craig for U.S. Senate because Minnesotans deserve a tireless, effective leader who puts people first. And that's exactly who Angie is. That's from their statement endorsing her. I'm going to say that we're not going to endorse in this race until next year. I don't want folks thinking that just because someone is LGBTQ, that automatically is going to result in our endorsement here at the Gailey Show. I do know that other shows on AM 950 have had a pretty hot take, an intense take about Representative Craig. We do not share that. Each show has different editorial opinions, and that's what makes the station so great, is that we're able to come at this from a variety of different perspectives and let the viewers decide, listeners decide, both of you, if you're watching on YouTube or listening over the air streaming.
I'm inclined to support somebody because they're LGBT, but obviously some of the things you just mentioned are not very smart, unless she's being smart politically by playing to people's stupidity and then ignoring it when it comes to it. I don't know. But I think Angie's got to realize if she was playing to a conservative base in District 2, she's now playing to the state, which there's plenty of conservative people in the state. Kamala Harris only won by a little over 51%. So it's frighteningly close outside of the metro area. But in the metro area in Hennepin and Ramsey County, 71% of people who voted for Harris. So it's overwhelmingly blue.
Would we consider Vice President Harris to be progressive?
Well, in that she was the standard bearer. Yeah. Closest I can come to. I mean, I don't know who else. There wasn't anybody else that I would call that.
I would call her pretty centrist
in the moment. Yes, I think she is. When she emphasizes her law
first campaign was pretty progressive.
Yeah, I'm not getting too hung up on that. I'm being very binary right now and saying there's right and left, but that's not entirely true. But I think Angie's going to need to consider what is it she's going to need to win. You know, what areas is she going to need to win, and she's going to need to win in the metro, particularly, and some of those positions aren't going to play very well in the metro, I think.
Well, yeah, and so there's already two other candidates that are in the race. So Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, who would be the first Native American woman in the Senate, announced hours after Senator Smith announced that she was going to be resigning. Lieutenant Governor Flanagan announced that she would be running for the seat. The former state Senate minority leader, Melissa Lopez Franzen, has also said that she is going to run. So there are currently 3 candidates. I've always been, I guess you know a person well enough, you could say you're going to endorse them right away. Like, for instance, Lieutenant Governor Flanagan was the first to jump in, and she immediately received the endorsements from the Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, the state auditor Julie Blaha, and former Senator Al Franken. I don't I don't know why Equality PAC jumped in so quickly. I'd like to see the platforms. I think I am a little worried to what you just said, which is I think at least the people who vote in the primary are more progressive than in the general election. So I do worry that she may be progressive in the primary and then drop all of it in the general.
Right.
So I'll be curious to see the stances that she takes in her platform. And we're going to talk about this later in the show. I want to see strong platforms. I don't want any wishy-washy, oh, maybe, and blah, blah, blah. And you sort of have to read the tea leaves. We're going to talk about this later. And I know Jim and I were talking about this coming into the station today. We need a Project 2029, a progressive one, a blue one, and what we are going to do, because we're going to need to do a lot. And so I don't want a senator, whoever it is, whether it's Representative Craig, whether it's Lieutenant Governor Flanagan, or former state senator Lopez, I don't want them giving us some wishy-washy thing. I want actionable things that they are going to do in the Senate.
Just in case people in Illinois are nodding off, I want to recognize Tammy Duckworth and Dick Durbin as the senators from the great state of Illinois.
Senator Durbin is also stepping down.
Yes.
So another senator who, thank you for your service, but also thank you for recognizing these are not lifetime appointments.
Right.
You can step down. It is okay.
We'll have to look into that race a bit more.
Can you tell? We do have a term limits.
Well, that's your thing a little more than mine, but I know.
Term limits.
I don't think you should be 80 years old or 70 years old, just in my opinion, and on the United States Supreme Court or in the United States Senate.
We need more turnover. We need more younger leadership. So obviously we'll be covering this story because it is groundbreaking for Minnesota and for LGBTQ representation in the Senate. We're going to take a short break here. More on the flip side. You're listening to The Gailey Show. The Council on LGBTQIA2S+ Minnesotans is conducting a community needs survey. Data from the survey will be used to make recommendations to improve LGBTQ people's health and well-being in Minnesota. The survey is confidential, and you can fill out the survey at mnqt.info/survey or in person by going to Queermunity on Hennepin Avenue in Minneapolis. Our community's needs and stories have seldom been well told. You can change that by completing the survey by May 31st. mnqt.info/survey.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. Warm weather is here. Maybe you're getting ready for a graduation party over at the house. There's a lot coming up as summer nears. Your house isn't ready, so that's why you need to call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res right now. Zero Res can handle every surface in your home: carpets, tile and grout, hardwood, laminate, stone, upholstery, rugs, and air ducts. Zero Res has both been out to my house and out here at AM 950 in our studios in recent months. They did such a fantastic job. They were on time, professional, and courteous. They got the stains out that we didn't think would come out here at the station. This month, get 3-room Zero Resified from Minnesota's #1 carpet and air duct cleaner and take 20% off all services. That's right, 20% off all services. But you need to go to ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 9520-RES and ask for the AM 950 special. 20% off all services all month. That's Zero Res. Backward or forward spells the same.
I'm Rachel Schroman, owner of Schroman Law, and I believe you deserve information. Our firm offers free quarterly estate planning seminars at our office in St. Paul. At these seminars, you can learn the basics of estate planning from an attorney to help you determine which estate planning documents will meet your needs and goals in an efficient and cost-effective manner. You can learn more and register at our website, schromanlaw.com/events. That's SCHROMEN law.com/events.
Be part of something new at History Theater with the premiere of Whoa Nellie, the outlaw king of the wild Middle West. This original musical follows Nellie King, a daring and complex figure whose life defied expectations in the 1800s. Packed with vaudeville style, humor, and heartfelt moments, it's a bold look at fame, identity, and truth with surprising relevance today. Whoa Nellie runs May 17th through June 8th in downtown St. Paul. Tickets and details at historytheater.com. That's historytheater.com.
Welcome back to the Gailey Show. I'm John Parker. It is almost 21 minutes past the hour. Our call-in number 952-946-6205. We were talking in the first segment about Representative Angie Craig, who is going to be running for Minnesota's Senate seat in 2026. We will continue to watch out for LGBTQ folks who are going to be running for Congress in next biennium. And hopefully, we'll have lots of candidates to be talking about. I know there is Chris Pappas has also announced he's going to be running for the New Hampshire Senate seat next year. So we will keep tabs on that. Also going to be curious who steps in to run for Senator Durbin's seat in 2026. Turning to some LGBTQ health research news. And I think that part of, obviously this is the Gailey Show, so we want to be covering this. I think for allies that are like, why are you only focusing on this particular research? I think this is the tip of the spear, and they're getting people used to cutting lots of money through taking us out first, and that this is just going to be the beginning of what they're going to be doing for the larger Health and Human Services. So thus far, in the first 100 days, the White House is claiming that Health and Human Services has eliminated 215 grants, which totals $477 million for research or education on gender-affirming treatment, but also other LGBTQ health. And part of what's also included in this are clinical studies. So these are studies where there are patients who are receiving care from the researchers. And now those grants are being terminated.
Well, let that be a lesson to LGBT people who think, oh, they're just coming after the trans people. No, they're not. They're coming after you too, and with a vengeance, which is his MO, his vengeance, I think.
Well, totally obsessed with us. Like I don't understand. Someone needs to explain. If you know why they are so obsessed with the LGBTQ community, 952-946-6205, because I don't get it at all.
And it's not just elected Republicans. I mean, rank and file. It's amazing.
They're obsessed with us.
It's astonishing how much
leave us alone.
Straight people think about what we're doing or where we are.
But it's and it's not just the grants that they are canceling right now. You're right. They are now going after, they released their budget proposal, the White House did, for this upcoming budget year, which will start in October 1st.
Yeah.
They want to eliminate $74 million for education and training components of the Ryan White program, which is around health, HIV, and AIDS education and training. They want to, quote, maintain core health services, but remove all of the education and outreach elements. Okay. The CDC program consolidation, they want to eliminate funding, standalone funding for STI prevention, viral hepatitis, and HIV programs. They want to remove explicit mandates for LGBTQ plus health priorities. In SAMHSA eliminations, they want to get rid of harm reduction programs serving LGBTQ populations, and they want to remove targeted mental health programs that have historically been accessible to LGBTQ plus youth, and they want to get rid of them. And they've already announced they're getting rid of the 988 hotline, which I finally started hearing advertisements for. And maybe I haven't been listening to the stations that air them, but it was really frustrating to know that they're canceling that hotline. And now we're finally hearing advertising for it. They want to end research on quote unquote radical gender ideology from the National Institute of Health.
Yes.
Not recognizing that theirs is the radical gender ideology.
Yes.
They are going to get rid of, or proposing to get rid of, $534 million from the National Institute on Minority Health Disparities, eliminating all research that's advanced transgender healthcare. And that's just what I'm reading from Health and Human Services. They've got stuff that they're going at under housing program restructuring that they want to get rid of. They want to get rid of 40 Department of Justice grant programs that address hate crimes against the LGBTQ community. They specifically want to remove funding for the investigation of anti-LGBTQ plus hate crime reporting. I wonder why. I hate to be this person because this is a show about like developing allies and community, but the greatest perpetrator of violence against LGBTQ people, like over 80% of the reported crimes are cisgender straight men.
Well, yeah, you can get away with a lot
So now
more.
they're like, no, we want to.
We don't want to know about that.
Don't investigate that anymore.
Don't look too close. Yeah. Well, it's the way you dominate a population is make it sicker, more frightened, less educated, more scared. And these are all really well-worn tactics of a despot. That's exactly what's going on. And all of you that think, oh, that's not me, it's coming for you too, whether you're a senior or whether you're a non-Christian or whatever, you are on the list. They will come for you too. But right now they're all obsessed with us. They're all up in our business. So.
But they're creating the framework. If you can get used to cutting all of these grants for this type of research, you create a process for which to do that. So then it's just really easy to begin to cut research from into other areas. And the next thing you know, you don't have a National Institute for Health.
I think in some states, I hope in the 19 blue states, that there will be an attempt to maintain some portion of some of the things that are being taken away federally. I know that was talked about in Illinois, I think, where they talked about rainy day fund money being used. That's been talked about in Minnesota too. So if you can get to one of the 19 blue states, you have a better chance of something being continued, or at least a portion of it, higher education, whatever the subject is. But if you're in deep, dark Mississippi, you're done. I think you might as well just take your bag of belongings and start walking, because it's going to be very difficult to survive in 2025.
Well, but the thing is,
if you're vulnerable,
so many of those places, particularly, I lived in a red state.
Yes.
That didn't have anything.
Pink state. Yes.
Right. So there is this. I was Michigan, but where I was ruby red.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And when I was living in Michigan, they didn't have anywhere. They just got statewide protections for public employees for LGBTQ folks. Right. So Michigan was really behind the ball when it came to LGBTQ community. And where I was, it was bad. It was bad. And so there are folks who are living already in these areas that don't have the rights that we have in other parts of the country. They don't have the programs, so you can say like things are already bad there, and a lot of folks don't have the means with which to leave.
I know.
Which is also, frustrating, particularly, folks in your Floridas, your Texas, your Oklahomas, your Mississippis, your Missouris, where it's really hard to just up and leave.
Yeah. I think we have to try to help each other now. We're not, for at least the federal government is not there to help us. It's there to hurt you. And so you're going to have to think of an alternative plan.
What we're going to talk about in the second half of the show is how are we going to rebuild all of this? It took forever to get this to this point. How are we going to rebuild that? We've got some thoughts.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break here. Please shop and do business with our sponsors. They keep shows like this and progressive news and talk on the air. Tell them that you heard about them on AM 950 Radio or WCPT 820.
Women, are you ready to empower your wellness? Join Hypercharge Health and Skin Deep Aesthetics for an inspiring evening dedicated to your holistic well-being. It's Empower Your Wellness, an evening for women, happening Tuesday, May 13th from 6 to 9 o'clock p.m. at 7450 France Avenue South, Suite 240 in Edina. This exclusive event is your opportunity to explore innovative approaches to health and beauty with insights from a panel of wellness professionals. Topics include integrative medicine, personalized concierge care, hormone balance for energy and sexual wellness, aesthetics and body contouring to boost confidence, and support for your mental and emotional well-being. Come learn, connect, and take meaningful steps toward a more vibrant, empowered you. Tickets are just $75, and the full amount can be applied toward a future service. Space is limited, so don't wait. Reserve your spot now at hyperchargehealth.com or call 952-247-4785. Empower your wellness, because your health, confidence, and peace of mind matter.
Hello, Minnesota. This is Stephanie Miller. Make sure to start your day off right with the Stephanie Miller Show every weekday morning from 8 to 11 right here on AM 950.
The Stronger Together Pride Benefit Concert and Dance Party is coming to the Grenada Theater in Uptown on Thursday, May 30th, and it's one night with a whole lot of heart. Hosted by Nina D'Angelo, this 21-plus event features live music from Beach Boilos, a set by early 2000 star Ryan Cabrera, and a high-energy dance floor driven by DJ Shannon Blowtorch. It's an incredible celebration, but it's also a fundraiser with real impact. This year, Twin Cities Pride is facing a $200,000 funding gap after losing major sponsors. This event is a powerful way for the community, supporters, allies, and everyone who believes in Pride to step up and help close the gap. There are multiple ticket options available, including general admission and premium experiences, so however you show up, you're making a difference. Presented with support from Richard Herrod III and Car Guy Concierge. Find tickets and event info now at tcpride.org. That's tcpride.org. Celebrate, support, and help power what comes next. We're stronger together.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all time, Grease. You'll hear all your favorite hits from the Broadway musical and the movie. Join the whole gang at Rydell High. We'll sing, we'll dance, we'll bring you back to high school life in the 50s. Poodle skirts, bobby socks, the soda shop, and drive-in movies. Grease. It'll rock your socks off. Order your tickets today. Visit chanhassendt.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for sunny skies today with a high near 76. Tonight, clear with a low around 52. And Tuesday, sunny with a high around 80. Crooners is your go-to classic supper club, offering world-class entertainment and 4-star dining. Catch top artists in the main stage showroom, Dunsmore Jazz Room, or outdoors at the Belvedere under the stars. Or stop by Maggie's Lounge, where there's no cover and no reservations. Visit croonersmn.com for details.
Broadcasting live in the 2 p.m. hour from the studios of AM 950, KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, weeknights at 8 p.m. Welcome back to the Gailey Show. It is 33 minutes after the hour. I'm your host, John Parker. Executive producer Jim Pounds is with me here in the studio. Our call-in number for folks listening live, 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Before the break, we were talking about cuts in healthcare. There's actually a really great website, scienceimpacts.org. Scienceimpacts.org that looks at all of the federal funding cuts to the National Institute of Health and what the impacts of those are to both individual states, but you can also look at it at the county level. So for instance, here in Minnesota, thus far, we've lost the economic loss of the cuts is $326 million, and we've lost so far 1,400 jobs. In Illinois, the economic loss is $608 million, with $2,600 jobs lost. 2,600 jobs lost because of these cuts.
4,000 altogether.
In Texas, it's $857 million in economic loss, with 3,699 jobs lost thus far.
These are people that really hate science and learning and intelligence.
In Florida, $360 million lost, 1,500 jobs lost. In Ohio, 479 million. These are all Trump states. Ohio has lost 2,000 jobs. The website is scienceimpacts.org. Really great to be able to track. So far, the overall total is $16 billion and 68,000 jobs lost.
In that one area, because the job losses are either 300,000 or 400,000 and change. Those are families, those are families.
Those are families.
Households that are.
And they just weren't liberals.
No.
They just weren't liberals that lost their jobs.
I think the number that I saw was 183,000, projected
Mm.
based on how the voting turned out. About 183,000 Republicans who voted for him
Wow.
just had their households destroyed. So
FAFO.
there you go.
And a bit of good news, because we like having at least some good news here
Yes.
on the Gailey Show.
Yes.
So Trump has lost to Maine in court. Maine and the USDA have settled a lawsuit over the USDA freezing $3 million because the state refused to follow the president's order to ban transgender female athletes from female sports programs.
States' rights.
I know, right? If you recall, the president began publicly going after Maine and Maine's governor. There's that infamous video from the White House meeting where he's like, we're the federal law, you better do what I say. And Governor Mills is like, see you in court. And the president's like, oh yeah, we'll see you in court. You're going to get defeated and you don't have a future in politics. Well, they went to court.
Yep.
The next day, actually, from that little scuffle, the USDA began freezing funds. And impacted the salaries of workers administering school food programs. The Maine Attorney General, this is one part of it. The Maine Attorney General, Aaron Fry, said the freezing was illegal since Congress had already appropriated the funding. And now a federal judge ordered the administration to unfreeze the funds, finding that Maine was going to succeed in their legal challenge. Attorney General Frey said there was no investigation, there was no notice, there was no lawful process that was followed. Maine had no choice but to bring suit to confront this unlawful action by the USDA.
Amateurs.
So the settlement doesn't affect other ongoing lawsuits filed by the presidential administration against Maine, particularly Maine's Department of Education, again, around trans athletes, the greatest issue of our time.
What are there, 16 in the country or something like that?
Whole political textbooks are going to be written about the awfulness of trans people and how it's ruining America.
Unbelievable. There might be 24.
At some point, I got to be very careful because at some point I'm going to get just so frustrated that like swear words and curse words are going to come out of my mouth. And then there are going to be problems with the FCC.
Use the good place.
The idea that the great issue of our time is trans women participating in sports.
Yeah, it's
just
balderdash. It's baloney.
It just makes me so angry.
It's misdirection.
All of the things that we could be dealing with right now, that our legislators could be dealing with, actual real problems in front of us.
Like our dying planet, you mean?
Which, well, yeah,
for instance,
climate change.
Okay.
There's a big thing.
Yep.
Something that I wanted to bring up, and Jim, I'll be curious about your take on this because I know you always have a lot of good takes on things. There obviously over the past 100 and X number of days have been a lot of reporting on what Trump and MAGA and Project 2025 have been doing. I'm over Trump voters saying, I didn't vote for this, when I have notes everywhere on my laptop about what Project 2025 was going to do. Mm-hmm. And it said all of this. So I don't want to hear it anymore. And I also don't want to hear Democrats going, see, even the Republicans say they didn't vote. Yes, we knew what was going to happen. We knew he was lying when he said, oh, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. Yes, you did.
Congenital
you know
liar.
what you were going to do. And so I don't want to hear it anymore that you think that you didn't vote for this. All the information was there for all of the voters about what was going to happen.
Yep.
Votes were made. And I understand right now that folks like us in the media are trying to focus on what is happening on a day-to-day basis because it's a lot and it's happening fast. And I think we're actually losing track of all of the things that are happening because it's so systemic
on purpose
and systematic in the way that they are implementing it. But something that I keep thinking about is that there is no going back now. And for folks who think that, okay, we're going to elect some normal people, some good centrist Democrats in November of 26, and then we'll get back the White House and the normal people, the rational people will be back in charge and everything's going to be fine. That is incorrect. 15,000 people have opted to take Elon Musk's early I'm leaving my job deal from USDA. That's just USDA. 15,000 people. That's 15% of the workforce. That is going to have huge implications across everything that USDA is doing. And that is just one single agency, which also, by the way, includes 555 employees of the Food Safety Inspection Service.
Oh.
What exactly is going to happen when you get back in there? Do you know how long it takes to hire somebody? Just a single person. I have worked for the state of Minnesota, and doing a hiring committee, it takes weeks just to hire one person. And sometimes you're hiring for a single position. So like there's Food Safety Inspection Service people, but you can't hire 555 people in a single search.
Yeah, I don't. The way I'm thinking about this is that our federal government, and I've been saying this, has been attacked. I don't mean philosophically attacked, practically attacked by an enemy. Whether you think the president is following the direction of Putin, which many do, or whether Musk is following the direction of the president of China, which many do, our government has been attacked as if physically, because the people are gone, whether they've been killed or whether they've been discharged. So the buildings are empty. The infrastructure is destroyed or
terminating
damaged.
Leases on offices across the country. So there would literally be no office space.
Right. So there is no there to come back to. There is, in fact, and you've used this term, John, and others have too, that it's a Roosevelt moment. We're going to be at a crisis point in 2 or 4 years where we're going to need to kind of clear the decks, set up our priorities, and come again, as it were, and really wipe this terrible blemish, terrible failure of our collective will. If the election was legal, and some dispute that, if he was truly elected astonishingly in 7 out of 7 states, which you couldn't have those kind of odds in Vegas if you tried.
I know you keep saying that,
but I don't think there's a numerologist or a person that knows odds that would say that's very likely that he would win in all 7 states that he needed to. I think it's nearly impossible to be true. But let's say it's true. We are going to need to start from our most important priority, whatever that is, and we're going to have to reimagine it in a different world. There is going to be a post-Trump world, and the progressive people, thank God, are going to be the people that are going to take this country forward, which is what progressivism is about. And it's going to be one awkward, difficult, challenging step at a time.
Well, so thank you for using I will agree, the post-Trump world. There is going to be a post-Trump world. What are you going to do though? And I understand the idea of let's focus on a single issue and go from there. The entire system, the entire federal government system has been potentially fundamentally changed. When you're losing 15,000 people, where did those job descriptions go? When you got rid of when you got over 200 grants just in one area, do you know how long it takes to approve a grant? This was the work of decades to get to this level of funding and to get all of these different grants, which were not about politics. They were about researchers going, okay, well, we've learned this, but now we need to learn this, and now we need to learn this. And they slowly but surely got the funding there. It is going to take decades.
Some of the research
to recover from this
will have transferred, because the people will have transferred to states, to state government. And so I don't feel like I feel like it's going to be horribly disrupted and terribly delayed and screwed up, and lots of people are going to die because we just don't know what's going on. He's opting for ignorance over intelligence. But I also don't think people are going to take a year to approve a grant or 6 months to hire somebody. I don't think we're going to be able to follow any of those old dictums either, the way government used to operate. I think we're going to need food inspectors next week. And we're going to have to improve them as we go along. But I think there's going to be, as there was even after the Civil War, there were terrible things that happened with carpetbaggers and other people that went in and took advantage of the situation. And we're going to have a lot of those problems. That's why I'm focusing on one priority at a time, because if we try to do 25 things, we're going to have it's going to take us years to undo all the terrible things that have happened in the vacuum. Does that make sense? So I feel like what's our biggest priority? Well, health, food safety seem like important
I disagree
ones.
in the sense of what FDR, the reason why we have the idea of the 100 days is FDR and how he came in there and said, this is all hands on deck. We are going after everything that we can do. And it set the standard for like, whoa, look how much you can get done in those first 100 days. And it was a commitment that he made of like, you are going to see this. And then every president afterwards has been judged on the first 100 days of their term. And I think that we need to start talking about Project 2029 for us. We need a 900-page document. We need something that is like, no, we are going to, the way to fix this is not to go, oh, well, we're just going to go back to the way things were.
There is no back.
Because it's gone.
Much of it. I mean, some of it. And,
particularly for queer people, it is gone.
Yep. Well, we're going to have to rely on states, I think. I don't know what else.
And my fear, to our earlier point, Republicans are obsessed with us. They are absolutely obsessed with us. We are like their number one issue. It's like that and tariffs and undocumented people. Those three things are the number three issues that they're just absolutely obsessed with. And I think that for the Democrats, though, we are not top of priority. And so my fear is that they're going to get back into office and they're going to say stuff like, well, we got to deal with these other things and we'll get to you. We'll get to you.
Oh,
so that we're going to have to scratch and claw and fight our way back over decades to be able to get back to the level of funding that we were in when it comes to grants, when it comes to programs.
It won't happen in it won't happen in my lifetime, but I do think we had a sort of everything all at once, and now we're going to have to prioritize. I don't know how to get something done, except to say we have to do everything all at once.
It's going to have to be.
I'm not smart enough to think of that.
Well, we're going to keep talking about it
that
we will all get used to that.
All right.
We're going to have one last break to get to here, but lots still to talk about on the Gailey Show.
Hi there, it's Jennifer again. I just have to tell you how Hypercharge Wellness has been life-changing for me. After my very first session, I felt a new sense of calm, started sleeping better, and my mind just felt clearer. I still can't fully explain all the science behind it, but I have heard that it's also great for people with chronic conditions, and I can totally see why. Every visit, my lower back pain eases, and I just feel so much better overall. I really noticed when I missed a few sessions recently due to a busy schedule. I could definitely feel the difference, and I knew I had to get back on track. If you're dealing with fatigue, pain, or even chronic issues, you owe it to yourself to give it a try. They even offer a $49.99 introductory session and consultation. Call and get started at any of their 3 metro locations. Check out hyperchargeclinic.com and tell them Jennifer from AM 950 sent you. That's hyperchargeclinic.com.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I want to tell you about a better, more environmentally friendly way to care for your lawn with Natural Lawn. Natural Lawn has been treating Minnesota lawns for more than 20 years with organic-based natural products that feed the soil without unnecessary chemicals. That means an envy-worthy, healthier lawn that's safer for your family and your furry friends. Natural Lawn has no contracts and is 100% satisfaction guaranteed. So let Natural Lawn handle your lawn care so you can enjoy your lawn. More at naturalawn.com.
There's something special about a night that brings people together, and the Stronger Together Pride Benefit Concert and Dance Party does exactly that. On Thursday, May 30th, the Stronger Together Pride Benefit Concert and Dance Party brings music, energy, and unity to the Grenada Theater in Uptown. This 21-plus event is hosted by Nina D'Angelo. The lineup features Beach Boilos, pop rocker Ryan Cabrera, and a late-night dance floor powered by DJ Shannon Blowtorch. Twin Cities Pride is working to close a $200,000 shortfall after losing longtime sponsors who pulled back support. This event is a powerful way for the community, supporters, allies, and everyone who believes in Pride to step up and help close the gap. Let's stand up, let's turn out, let's dance like the future of Pride depends on it, because it does. With multiple ticket types, there's an option for everyone to take part. Presented by Richard Herod III with Car Guy Concierge. Tickets and details at tcpride.org. That's tcpride.org. Support Pride. Celebrate community. We're stronger together.
This Mother's Day, treat mom to what she wants. The Park Tavern. It's the Mother's Day Brunch Buffet. On May 11th from 10 to 2:30 p.m., treat mom to a fantastic meal of roast beef, chicken, smoked salmon, salads, a full breakfast, and more. $24.95 for adults. Seniors and kids under 12 are $19.95. Kids 5 and under are free, and mom and the kids will love the hour of free bowling with every reservation. And remember, you need a reservation. For reservations, call 952-929-6810. On May 11th, make wonderful Mother's Day memories with the Park Tavern.
Upbeat music to close out the show today. Welcome back to The Daily Show. It is about 9 minutes before the top of the hour. I'm your host, John Parker. Here's a way of restating what I'm arguing that you cannot think about. We're just going to go backwards, right, for those centrist Democrats. Are you ready with a plan to hire 50,000 federal workers? That's the plan you're going to have to get around. If we're going to go back to how things were, you have to now have a bold plan to say we are going to hire 50,000 federal workers.
Way more than 50,000.
Well, way more. That's just the number that I picked.
Yeah,
Are you ready? Are you ready to run on that? Are you ready to run on? We are going to do $20 billion and federal research for our Research One universities and other universities, beyond our R1s to do research and
they're floating by yourself, but in many ways you are. And that should, unfortunately, and it does terrify me, and it should terrify especially the people that are saying, I think Trump's doing a great job, as your car goes off the cliff and crashing down the hill, bursting into flame. So I just think I don't think people are thinking about it, just like they're saying people aren't looking at their IRAs because they don't want to know. And that's our job, is to tell you, and then you're supposed to tell your relatives because they really don't want to know. But our job is to tell you, and then you tell 10 other people.
There's another thing. Do we think that we're just going to be able to go back and create a trade agreement with Canada?
No.
Like the terms of which we will have any future trade agreements under a Democratic or progressive administration are going to be fundamentally different, because they're going to look at us and go, you people lose your minds.
Yeah.
Why are we going to sign a trade agreement that you will just end up getting rid of having the next time you have an election?
Isn't it the same as Brexit? Isn't England in the same shame-filled place of going, what the heck was the matter with us?
If I was Canada, France, UK, Armenia, I would say, okay, I'm going to sign an agreement with you, but this is going to be we're going to have arbitration on this. Like, if you violate this, or you suddenly impose tariffs on us while we have this agreement going for no reason, we will take you to whatever the version of trade court is to get an adjudication.
We're a nation that cannot be trusted.
Like,
now.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. And so the idea that we can just go back to the way things were under Biden, under Obama, under Clinton, those days are gone.
We were getting there under Bush when we attacked a country that didn't attack us. People said, "Oh, I guess they don't have a moral center."
I know,
but
that's something that I
we've been
get
on this
why they
path.
wanted to have the Cheneys. I get that, they were endorsing, Kamala, and I got that, but at the same time, I'm like, Dick Cheney should be in jail.
Yeah, sorry.
In The Hague. I don't want to be triumphant. Like, I don't want to be feting him and being like, oh, amazing, we have the Cheneys on our side. Like, you should be tried for war crimes in The Hague, not endorsing Kamala Harris.
May I bring up the latest insanity, only because I think it tells us a story. the person that lives at 1600 Pennsylvania has proposed a tariff, a 100% tariff on foreign films.
Is that because they have LGBTQ people in them?
No. I think in his addled mind, he goes, oh, well, if the American film business is in trouble, we just got to stop all this foreign stuff because somehow the fact that it's foreign is the problem. And of course, the problem is friends like like Jeff Bezos, who are building streaming networks, who are killing the American box office. That's what's killing the American film business.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything to do. It isn't even remotely connected to foreign films, but he betrays his ignorance when people tell me how smart he is. That is one of the most ignorant things I've ever heard from someone that was in the business.
This is America. I don't want to read my films.
I don't want no fern. It's fundamentally, what would you call it? It's feeble. It's feeble-minded to make that, because you're a racist, making that connection. It's the fern films. That's the problem? No, it's technology.
We are the biggest
it's streaming
film market, though, in the world.
It's somebody that clearly knows nothing about the business that made him famous, and shame on him for being that stupid of a business person about his own
television,
business.
Right?
Well, yeah, but he was in the entertainment business. I mean, he was in the greater entertainment. That's the argument.
He's in reality,
that's what made him famous rather than purely just infamous. And he doesn't understand that business. And there's so many others that he has no clue
He doesn't understand any business.
I know. But that was a shocking one today.
Why he's been bankrupt so many times.
Yeah, or been sued and and settled out of court. He's a flim, like somebody said on Tom Hartman's show today. This guy is a flim flam artist, and why are so many people not waking up to that? How can you not see that you're being taken?
But so yes, there is that, and hopefully we'll have more people. But again, for me, I want to hear specifics, and I think we need to be starting to talk about them now. Everything he's doing is atrocious and hurting the country. But if you don't have a plan for me about how you're going to fix the Supreme Court, I have no time for you. So if you don't have a plan about how you're going to fix DOJ, I don't have time for you.
Let's ask that question of Angie Craig, kind of thing. You're saying the new leaders, the new or whoever.
If you don't have an economic policy, international trade, I don't want to hear from you. And if you just want to sit there and go, we just need to like normal people again and no more of the extremes, I don't want to hear from you.
Nope. I agree.
What I do want to hear from, though, is our listeners. And so, I can't believe we're at the end of our time today. Thank you, everyone, for listening and or watching. Up next on WCPT 820 and AM 950 is the Matt McNeil Show. And for folks in Minnesota, stay tuned for Native Roots Radio after that. Connect with us on Blue Sky. We're at thegaleyshow.org on Blue Sky. And until tomorrow, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about outdoor fires. Sitting